Hi guys, it's Dakota. Hope everybody's doing well. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I've been really busy with spring cleaning with my store. I was actually there yesterday. We had one of our great distributor vendors was there yesterday, and we spent half the morning with him. We were closed, so it's really nice to get to spend that time with your distributor and not have to worry about, customers. If you're my customer, I love you, but just wait till you see. Really, really nice stuff that we got. Super excited about getting all that stuff priced and put out this week for everybody. So, and also I just want to say with spring, summer right here, here in Eastern North Carolina, I am busy with my garden, my flower garden, trying to get it up and running. There's some years that it does really well, and then there's some years like this year, I don't know what is going on with it. It looks terrible. So I'm doing some things, trying to get it going, trying to get it started and trying to get it going. Oh, I think it's raining. And I've just kind of been out doing that. And, personal time, kind of need time for that as well. But anyway, yeah, so here I am today. We're going to do a little something, and I hope you enjoy it. Uh, so probably about 5 years ago, so it was pre-COVID. I actually did a working for a customer of mine who, the only way that I can explain this to you is they were looking for some healing, okay, for some healing. But it was, once we sat down and we talked, it was more of like, just her soul needed to be healed. Not from any traumas. There was no real trauma in her life, anything other than anybody else, who just had regular childhood stuff, right? No big traumas. There was no abuse, any kind of thing like that. And yes, had been married, had gone through a divorce, but that was, cool. I mean, that wasn't any big thing. But this person she is a very soft, uh, loving, kind, compassionate, somewhat introverted, and really just such a giver. And so one of the things when she was looking for, she didn't really know, like, she didn't really know what it was, but she knew she needed something, some kind of healing. And I didn't want to just do, like, healing. And also, she is not a witch. She does not practice witchcraft, which is going to sound weird, right? She's very open to it. It's like she does believe in it. She believes in the energy work, maybe, of it. She believes in the energy work of it. But she herself is not a witch, and she makes claims that she doesn't practice. But this isn't the first time I've done something for her. And I told her, I said, when I do work for you, I don't just wrap it up with a bow and go, here you go. I make you do, you have to do stuff to it, like whether she has to write out a petition, or maybe she has to, if it's a candle, which, 90% of the time it's going to involve a candle, maybe she has to light the candle every day for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. Maybe she has to feed it. Maybe she has to breathe life into the work. So there's always something that she has to do. And I go, that is part of witchcraft. And she says, oh, it's just part of the energy. So, and that, I love her. I love her. And so that, whatever, is absolutely fine. It's just kind of a joke, that we have. So I got to thinking, over the last, one of the things that I'm sort of guilty of doing, and I really don't mean to, it just happens with me. I observe, I observe everything. I listen to everything. I'm not eavesdropping, but when you're on the phone, not only can I hear you, if you're next to me, not only can I hear you, but usually you can hear the person on the other end of the line, right? So I hear conversations. I hear, people that are together just in conversation. I see things, that people are doing, how they're interacting, that kind of thing. what people are talking about, conversation. Facebook, hello, I do Facebook, yes I do. Spend about an hour in the morning, about an hour at night, not a full hour, but I'm on the computer. Let me rephrase that. I'm on the computer for about an hour in the morning and about an hour in the evening. I will get through Facebook, say hello to everybody, make some funny, stupid little comments here and there, maybe post my own stupid little thing. And mostly it's my animals or my flowers or, I don't do selfies. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. And the only other thing I do then, I might do Instagram, which started out as my shop, but then I didn't feel right about doing that. So now sometimes I'll post pictures of new things that we got at the shop, but it's the same thing as Facebook. I'll post pictures of the animals, of my plants, whatever. And I love taking pictures. I'm a big camera person, and that's why I hate my cell phone so much, because the camera sucks. Galaxy S8. It's an old one. I know. Don't please. I'm so old school. I wish we could just go back to rotary dial phones. But I really need a camera. But then I would be carrying my cell phone and my camera. Anyway, okay. So I've known her for a while, and again, she would do anything for you. She's a nurturer, takes care of everybody else first, everybody else's needs, and then sometimes her own. But a lot of times she forgets about herself, as do I think a lot of us. We forget about self-care, and I have tried to tell her, as well as some of my clients as well, that self-care is just as important, if not more important, than caring for the others. And how I describe that, and y'all will know this, is, when you take an airplane trip somewhere, the first thing the stewardess says, if the little oxygen things come down, don't put it on your child first, because if you pass out, the baby doesn't know how to hold that, then they're going to drop it, and then they're going to, So the first thing you do is take care of yourself first, so that you can have your wits about you, so that you can help somebody else. So in talking with her, it just came down to really, and she's introverted, and yeah, she is an empath, but we've worked on that over the years. She's gotten so much better. And she's even to the point now where she will do some self-care, which I'm really excited about. But I did this working for her. Like I said, it was pre-COVID, so I'm going to say, I don't know. And it was a couple years before that. Let's just say 5 years, something like that. It doesn't matter. And I did it for her. It was a little bit different than what I'm going to show you, of course. And but it was really about nurturing and healing, I don't know, her soul. So it's kind of self-healing, but it's healing of the aura, healing of self, only different, like not inner child work, not any of that. But you'll see, because I'm going to do kind of the same thing, just using some different herbs and things like that. So that's what I want to talk to you about. I'm going to show you here coming up. All right. So all right. So let me just move the camera down, and oops, right there looks good. Okay. So yeah, I have my silver platter, but I'm not going to serve it up to you. You have to do the work. That's what I tell her. I do all my work on a silver platter, but I don't just serve it to you. I make you do the work. All right, so we are doing candle magic. I'm using a pink female figure candle. This was part of a relationship candle where it had a male figure attached, and so this is for drawing in love, attracting love, that kind of thing. But I don't really work relationship stuff anymore for clients. I'd rather you work on yourself. I'd rather we work on you and just you alone. And then you can make that process, you can draw in that love on your own. Okay, that's another video. So what I do is I break the candles. I break them in half. I take the other part, the partner part, off, and now I'm just left with the single figure. Yes, they do make just the single figures, but I've had a really hard time lately from our distributors getting just the single figure in the colors that I want to work with. So this one I had, it was a companion, which is what I call them. It was a companion candle, had another figure right here attached, and for drawing in, and I just broke them in half. Okay, so now I just have the female candle. All right. So again, I'm trying to bring in for a client. This is not what I'm doing today is not for anyone in particular. It is somewhat very, very close to what we did for her, where it was a cleansing of sort of just your outer shell, your aura, your energy. And I used pink for her as well because, again, she's soft, she's compassionate, she's soothing to talk to, all of the things. So what I'm going to do first is and I'm going to be working with the dark blue candle. I already lit it because I had to seal something on the bottom of this candle. But I'm going to be using this candle, dark blue candle, and I'm going to be using 3 different herbs. Okay, the first herb I'm going to be using is rue. Rue is really good for healing. It's good for cleansing the mind and bringing forth clarity. You know, it's what is it that you're really looking for? Why would you come to me? Why did you come to me for healing? And it wasn't about a relationship. It wasn't about any trauma. There was just something going on. So I'm using pink because it really did represent her as very feminine and very sweet and loving and all kind, just all of those things. So okay, so let me finish talking about the herbs. So the rue, okay, I'm using rue, which is good for healing and helps bring about clarity, mental powers, and stuff like that. Now I took the rue out of the little baggie because it's full of the stems of the rue, which I haven't run through the grinder yet. And so I just put the rue powder on my little frying pan here so that I can get to it easier. Using rue, I'm using lavender buds. I'm using those because it is for love, but it's good for happiness and it's good for peace as well. Lavender. And I'll have to tell you, I went through, this is a good time of year to start purging your stuff. If you have herbs that are over a year old, some 2 years, it's time to throw those away. It's time to get rid of them and get some new things going, especially if you're ingesting any. But what I'm doing is remember I told you I don't use jars anymore unless it's a big jar that I can get my hand in, because look, I can't get my hand in here to get my herbs. I have to literally, turn the bottle. So if I'm using a lot of herbs, like I have huge bags of tobacco, huge bags of lavender, rosemary, mugwort, just different herbs, and I keep them in a big Ziploc baggie. That way I can squeeze the air out of them so they're less likely to get any kind of bugs in them. They're all organic. And remember, organic herbs, now you might have bugs in your herbs because organic means they're not sprayed with any kind of pesticide or anything. So better to have organic, in my personal opinion. However, you do have to monitor the keep insect control. So an airtight container in a dark closet or cupboard is best. So I do like putting mine in the Ziploc bags and just really taking all the air out. So I'll still have my herb cabinet with some jars because they look witchy and they look really cool, and they'll have a little bit of herb in them. But I'm switching everything over to Ziplocs and the little tiny baggies like these that are all labeled, and because I'm OCD, and so they go in my tote. So not only are they bagged and sealed in a plastic bag with no air, then they're put in a tote, and they're also put in a dark cupboard. However, if there were seeds, it's possible that you can still get the little bugs from them. So, okay, so here's the lavender, and this is just good for instilling peace and happiness, which is kind of what she needed. And then also, this is vervain, which I do use quite a bit, and vervain is really good. It does also instills peace. It's one of the things that it does. Vervain is a really good thing to put around your around your house. So a lot of people just insist on putting salt and vinegar. Everything is always about protection and, you know, getting rid of negativity. But how about instilling peace and love and happiness and harmony? And you can do that with different herbs, vervain, and you know, even lavender. There's 100 different herbs out there that you can use for that, and you can just sprinkle those across your threshold. Or what I do is I put them underneath the doormat, and that way they don't get blown away. Or I also have little mojo bags hanging right above the threshold of the doors, with all the different herbs in it. So, you know, this whole thing about, oh, protection, everybody's always about protection, but they never think about bringing in the peace, bringing in the happiness, bringing in the good vibes. It's just, oh, get rid of the bad. Well, if you bring in the peace, the bad isn't going to hang around. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Okay, so I got the three herbs because I work in threes. I have salt because I'm going to be using the salt. And I'm using the tobacco oil because although I'm not working with deity, normally I would work, if I worked with deity or worked with the ancestors, I would use my ancestor oil. But right now I'm just using you know, universal energies and spirit, whatever. And so I'm using tobacco oil as an offering. So. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay her down. Okay, you're just going to lay her down like that. And I have my blue. Hopefully this works because I've got the AC and the fans going. So we'll see if I can get this to stay lit. So I'm going to light my dark blue because blue is healing. So is green, but I am using blue because blue is also about communication and sometimes, you know, sometimes blue I think is good for intuition also. And I think intuition is good to have when you start to feel like maybe you're just being constantly used, abused, not abused in that manner, but just, you know, like you're a good person and people take advantage of that. And sometimes they don't mean to, but when you allow it, when you're always the doer, when you're always the forgiver, then, you know, the intuition is a good thing to have, to know when that's happening and it's not just, oh, they really need me. Because when it runs out, when that energy runs out on you, you're not going to be there for them. And then what are they going to do? So, all right. So let's see if I can keep this lit. And what I'm doing right now is nothing. Let me turn, one second, I'm going to turn the overhead fan off. Okay. Normally I would have my figure standing up, but I want her, I'm going to put the herbs this time on her. So I'm taking the blue wax, and I'm just, as it's melting on her, I'm just going to add the herbs. Right now this is just the roux. This takes time, but guess what? Sometimes the work takes time, and it helps me when things take time. It helps me to focus on what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I don't mind that the herbs are falling to the tray because I'm going to be using them. All right. So that's just the roux. I'm going to do the lavender and the vervain, but I don't think you need to see all that. Hang on. So now I'm melting the, I'm doing the lavender. And normally I would do both sides of the figure candle, but because I'm just showing you this, I'm not going to do the back side. And now I'm going to add the vervain. Like I said, this takes a while, but like I'm just sitting here and I'm just thinking about what the herb does and what it is that I'm trying to do. And I'm actually trying to put a protective, healing barrier around, let's just say this was my client, so that she or he is not being drained by the energies of others that maybe, and they, not saying that they are trying to get away with anything or, trying to use the person, but if that's what's happening, then, it's not good. So, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to shove these in. Just kind of letting the herbs, letting the wax, I'm sorry, kind of soak into the herbs. All right. Now, just so you know, this has a lot of herbs on it. And when this gets lit, it's probably going to burn pretty heavily. You know, there's probably, because if you, especially if you did the back, which typically I would. So that's a lot of herbs. So you want to make sure that you have a fire-proof tray, bowl, sometimes a bucket. Sometimes I'll put things right into a bucket that's taller than my candle, because if these start popping, they can pop over, you know, to different areas and burn the different areas. Now what I'm going to do is I just cleared a little. I am fine with the herbs around that fell on the tray, because I'm going to leave them there. I'm going to use them. I'm lighting this one more time because I want her to, there's an herb on there, get off. I'm going to stand her up. This is a fairly large candle, and since the flame will be, should be, I would imagine, a pretty big flame with the herbs, I want to make sure that I have a nice steady pool of wax for it to sit in. Just going to hold that down there for a minute. The herbs that I have in my little pot here, I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle those around. Again, my stuff is not really aesthetic, as you know. I'm going to take my tobacco oil on the wick. I'm doing 3 drops. That's all, 3 drops. And I'm just letting it drip down as the offering. I'm taking my salt. I don't want to spill this out, so I do have my little spoon here. On the outside of my herbs, I am using salt as this little, I guess you could say it's a protection barrier, even though I have the vervain and the lavender and the rue inside of my circle. This way, there's not even any attempts at anything trying to get in. But the thing is this spell isn't really about that. There's no one after the person or any kind of thing like that. And what I have is, I have my Mochi marbles, and one is large, one is small. The large one, I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but this one has a ring around the edge. Can you see the ring? That's the male. The female is smaller, and it doesn't have this edge around. So you have the masculine and the feminine. You have this balance, and that's what we are. We work with polarity. We are both. We have both energies. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one behind her and one in front of her to help balance out that energy. And then of course I would have my petition, and I would have all of that, and then I just light it, and typically I would cut that wick. I don't like wicks that tall. Let's see what happens. It's the fan. And that's it, really. So like I said, I would take the blue wax and I covered her. I would use more, but for the video, I would use more wax and just really cover her in this blue healing, protective outer shell of healing, and to just kind of, like I said, and it could be like the, what do you call them? The energy vampires, or, you just have sometimes that person that's constantly needy, needy, needy. And because you love them, you give, give, give. It's a constant. And, but the thing is you have to remember that, are you helping them? Are you really helping them? Because if something happens to you, then what's going to happen to them? You don't care? I mean, if you don't care, then why are you investing this energy and draining yourself now? So, yeah, so that's what I'm doing to show you today. It's similar to what I did for my client years ago, very similar. I did an actual more grid around here, and I actually did a third. I don't think I used salt, actually. I used something else. But I did 3 rings around her for the upper, the middle, and the lower realms, so that she was encased in this protective energy. And according to her, it worked great, and I was really happy about that. This is for no one. This is just to show you an idea of this healing that you can do for whatever. Ooh, that's pretty. What if that's showing? I'm going to put it back down so you can see it. Okay, so there you go. That's how I worked this. I just used a figure candle for the person. Do you have to use a figure candle? No, you can just use a regular candle that represents your person. You could represent you. A figure could represent you if you want. Whatever herbs you want to use. And then again, for this protective energy. And even if you are trying to do some kind of like protective thing for yourself, maybe you would want to use black candle wax to seal you with. Or, whatever. Anyway, that's how you do it. Yeah, just be careful when you burn it, because as this gets down to these herbs, that flame is probably going to really be bright. I'll try to take some pictures as it burns and post those. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day, great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching, by the way. I appreciate it.